Okay, this video is a quick update on my Read What You Own challenge, where I am reading 75 books I already own before I buy any more. And I'm going to start off by saying that this week was quite difficult because I watched a lot more Booktube than I have in the last couple of weeks. I've found some new channels. I've kind of rediscovered some channels that I, for some reason, had stopped watching before. The point of it is all of those channels are talking about books that are new to me, that sound amazing, and I really want to buy, but I can't. I have to stick with my challenge. As a side note, I'm going to have a video coming out soon about other booktubers that I do watch that if you watch my channel, you might like. So anyways, let's get into it. So this week, I'm going to talk about books 8, 9, 10, and 11. One of those books is a DNF, and you might be surprised what that DNF is. But first book is The Glamour by Christopher Priest. I don't know why I'm holding it like an old sock. There we go. The Glamour by Christopher Priest. I read this last week, and I made a video about it, which hasn't really gotten many views, but if you're watching this channel and you haven't watched that video, definitely check it out. I think it's one of my better book review videos, and it's an absolutely mind-bending book, and it's fantastic. Christopher Priest, I don't know why, I've never read him before. This is great. It's great prose. It's kind of science fiction-y, but not really. It's more like speculative fiction. If you don't know, he wrote the book that became the film The Prestige, starring Christian Bale, and I want to say I forget who the other guy was. Can't remember now. Ed Norton, I think, is who it is. It's got that kind of like mind-bending twists to it. But it's not historical or any kind of way. I guess I'll give a quick synopsis since I've already gone down that road. It's about a guy who was a photojournalist who gets caught in a bombing, and he suffers some strange memory loss. And through hypnotic therapy, some of these memories are brought up, and he's introduced to a woman who may or may not have been one of his lovers. And then from there, it just goes to all these places. It's very realistic, and yet it's also very speculative. And what it's all speculating is, what is reality? Who are you? What is a person's identity? How is that constructed? How do you know that it's real? How do you know you are who you are? Could you be someone else if you want to be someone else? Really amazing book. Definitely worth checking out. It's a short little read. You know, you can get through it. I got through it, I think, in 3 sittings. It's written so well. It's definitely literary fiction in its writing, although its topic and subject matter kind of pushed into science fiction sometimes, but definitely don't let that scare you off. The other book that I finished, I'll pop it up on the screen here, is Stillicide. I read this on my Kindle by Cynan Jones. I've got a video on this coming out. It may already be out by the time you watch this. Really great book. This is, again, kind of science fiction or maybe climate fiction. It's set in Britain in the near future, and it explores the concept of what would Britain be like, specifically London, but kind of Britain as a whole, during a climate crisis in which water is scarce and is also commodified. And of course, capitalists have to have their way with it. But the book is really mind-blowing. It's very poetic. It really gets into a kind of part of your consciousness that is kind of difficult to describe. It's poetic. It's very postmodern. It's a very fragmented narrative with all these kind of different points of view of different characters from different walks of life, all of whom are directly affected, and all of their lives have now all become about just getting water. So it kind of asks that question of like, what would life be like if there was very limited amount of water and only a very few people could really have access to that water? Really mind-blowing book. Check out my video about that. It's quite good. The DNF, I'll get to the DNF, is a book. Whoops, you probably saw it already. This book, Empire of Silence, which is the first book of the Sun Eater series. This is my second go at trying to read this, and I just can't get into it. I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm going to try one more time and maybe do a video about it, even if I DNF it again. It has everything I should like. You know, it's kind of this cross between Dune and Star Wars, where it's kind of got that sort of like ancient lore feel to it, and a sort of high-tech, low-tech kind of universe. But there's just something about it I just don't like. I don't like the characters. I find the dialogue to just be absolutely dreadful. After I've saying that, I don't see myself reading it again, but I want to read it and I want to understand it. It's a huge book. I want to understand why people like this book, but I'm just finding it to just be actually just really poorly written. I'm finding it to be really redundant and derivative. Not that everything needs to be highly original and new, but I prefer books that present kind of newer ideas or new takes on ideas. And I feel like this is just kind of a greatest hits of epic space opera type science fiction. I don't know. Maybe I haven't read enough science fiction to appreciate it. Maybe I need to come back to it again. I'm not really sure, but that's definitely a DNF for this go around. And then the last book is a book that I initially found difficult to read, but I've suddenly just kind of really fallen into it and really fallen in love with it. And it's this book, which is half of the Book of the New Sun. This is the Tor Essentials version of it. It's packaged as Shadow and Claw, the first half of the Book of the New Sun. So it's Shadow of the Torturer and Claw of the Conciliator by Gene Wolfe. And this is considered to be kind of one of the seminal science fiction texts. Really, really interesting book, really fascinating book, really puzzling book, but puzzling in a good way. It's written as a fantasy, but it's science fiction, but you don't know that it's science fiction. And if you're not paying attention, sometimes like you could easily get 100 pages into this before, it clicks that, oh, this is science fiction. Oh, this is the future. If you've read a little bit about it, I mean, it's not a secret. It's a dying Earth kind of science fiction book. So set in some point in the future, Earth is dying out. Civilizations have become very strange and unrecognizable. In some ways, maybe regressed. It seems to be kind of a medieval kind of setting. I'm just about 100 pages into it. And I have to say, like the first 40 pages of it, I was kind of feeling like, okay, what's this? What's the deal here? What's the appeal here? Because it feels at times in those first 40 pages, it feels at times like it's purposely obscure. Like the author is just purposely playing tricks on you. You're aware that the tricks are happening and that the author is doing it. And you're kind of asking yourself, why are you doing this? But there's a certain chapter, and I'm not going to give it away, where suddenly more cards are revealed, or the cards are kind of put on the table and things suddenly like start to click and it really starts to work. And I'm happy I'm reading it. I'm not convinced that it's as great as everyone says it is. I mean, I can accept it as kind of a seminal text and a text that maybe kind of put something new into the game and that maybe changed writing afterwards. But I'm not convinced that it's like the be all end all. But I'm going to read it and follow through with it. And maybe I will, maybe I'll fall into that camp, but it's cool. I mean, the writing is great. It reminds me of like, the feeling I get when I read it is the first time I read Dune. And I'll admit this. I mean, I read Dune as a teenager, but there's these little gems of sentences that are kind of philosophical that are thrown in. And I'm going to say Gene Wolfe is better at that than Frank Herbert. I've tried to reread Dune and it just kind of came off as like, yeah, this is a teenage boy book. This isn't really for grownups. So anyways, that's what I'm in the middle of. This turned into a bit of a ramble, but highly recommend Book of the New Sun, Shadow and Claw. This is 2 books together. It looks huge, but it's actually 2 books. Both books are about 250 to 300 pages. Also highly recommend The Glamour by Christopher Priest and Stillicide by Cynan Jones. So if I'm counting correctly, this brings me up to 11 of 75 for my Read What You Own challenge. And it's kind of starting to feel now like, this is going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time to get through, but I'm okay with it because a lot of those books sitting on my shelves, I've really been wanting to read for a long time, particularly a lot of the science fiction that I bought here over the last year and a half or so, since I kind of started buying physical books again. Ton of stuff on my Kindle too. So there you go. That's my update on the Read What You Own challenge. If you're doing this challenge, please leave a comment below. Let me know how it's going for you. Let me know where you are. Are you able to resist book buying? It was tough for me this week. I don't know about you. So there you go. In case you don't know, my name is Carl, and this has been Please Read Your Book.